I'm going to show you my favorite stablecoin strategies across a bunch of different ecosystems and how you could be earning up to 50% APY safely. I'm bullish on DeFi more than ever, and after watching Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager implode, right, I'm thankful I was able to get all my stablecoins out of those platforms, and now I'm going to be redeploying them to DeFi. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, and if you aren't following me on TikTok or Twitter, be sure to drop a follow because I post daily updates and news on both these platforms. I'm literally heartbroken for anyone who had lost funds in those platforms like Voyager's or Celsius. I did make an update here on June 10th, just 2 days before they paused withdrawals, saying that I had concerns with their liquidity and I was withdrawing all of my funds. I made the same update on Twitter that they were forcing customers to enable hodl mode to prevent withdrawals, and that was just the biggest red flag I've ever seen. And that literally horrifies me because I viewed these as platforms as safe place to park my stables to earn good yield, but we are abandoning these CeFi platforms. They were black boxes, incredibly over leveraged, and with zero risk management. We are going all back to DeFi where everything is transparent and on-chain. First thing we're going to be looking at here is Sturdy Finance. So Sturdy Finance is actually available both on Ethereum and Phantom. And the really unique thing about Sturdy Finance is it is a money market, but it offers 0% loans. So how Sturdy Finance actually works is when you deposit collateral, they take your collateral and stake it with other blue chip projects like Lido or Convex or Yearn. And so when you borrow, you can actually borrow at 0% APY. So you have a few different options here. What you can do is you can just deposit your stable coins like USDC, DAI, USDT, and earn about 8.4%. And this is really cool because it's actually paid out in the native currency, right? So if you deposit DAI, you're paid in DAI, right? If you deposit USDC, paid in USDC. So there's no real worthless farm token here, which is really why I'm so bullish on the Sturdy platform. And what's been really cool lately is they started to actually accept Curve LP token. So here we have one for Frax, for SUSD, as well as the Iron Bank. So what we can do is we can take the degen box style strategy, or I like to call them infinite money glitches, and take advantage of the Curve Iron Bank LP starting at 5%, but we can actually lever this up to around 50%. So what we can do here to start this off, we come over to Curve Finance, right? We find the Iron Bank pool. It has about $86 million, right? We can deposit stable coins into this pool, DAI, USDC, USDT. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those LP tokens, we can deposit them here, and you can see maximum loan to value 90%. And since these are stable coins, right, we can pretty much borrow pretty aggressively against this loan to value. Liquidation threshold is 3%, meaning these stable coins would have to depeg by 3%. So with that in mind, what we can do then is we can borrow something like USDC, again, USDT, whatever, against it at 0%. And what we just do is we take those borrowed funds, we put them back in the Curve pool, get more LP tokens, right? Again, bring it back to the deposit page, and we just keep looping this process. So by looping the same asset, we're able to lever up our position significantly and collect additional yield on it while minimizing our risk because we are borrowing and lending stablecoins. So if we go ahead and plug this into a calculator, shout out the calculator guy who makes these available for free, but let's go ahead and go through this process. So we're going to deposit an asset, right? The Iron Bank LP, which is a stable coin. So we're going to use USDC as an example, right? Max loan to value, 90%. If you want to be a little bit less aggressive, to be a little bit on the safer side, let's just throw this at something like 85%. And then if we have a supply APY of 5.2, and then what we can do if we loop this 10 times, we'll have a maximum ROI of 33%. If you are a bit more comfortable and you trust the stablecoins, you want to bump that up to something like 90%, boom, look at that ROI, 43% yield on your stablecoins. Next, we'll be looking at the Optimism ecosystem, and I want to introduce you to Velodrome. If you're not familiar with this project's actually forked from Andre's project Solidity over on the Phantom ecosystem. So they claim they fixed all the bugs. It seems to be performing quite well, and so they have some really good APRs that have been really consistent. So if we come down here to these different pools, we can check some things out. So kind of just going through this, some of my favorites that kind of catch my eye would be Frax and SUSD, which is going to be 19%. Here we have USD and DAI, 18%. I like this one here, USDC and MAI. I think the MAI team's really stellar, right? Paying out 13%. So really cool project over on the Optimism ecosystem. I really love what they've done, right? Solidity had such high ambitions. It was really such a shame what happened to it over on Phantom. So I'm glad a team has picked it up over here for Optimism. Next, we're going to be checking out Solaris on the Aurora ecosystem. If you're not familiar, Aurora is a layer 2 ecosystem built on top of Near, EVM compatible. So use your MetaMask, very easy to connect to. If you're enjoying this video so far, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. I'm always going to be looking to bring you the best DeFi strategies. Anyways, let's get back into this. We're going to be looking at two different pools here. We're going to be looking at the USDC, USDT, USN. That's actually pays out in 12%. This is going to be 5% in TRI and 7% in the Aurora token. Or we actually have this pool here, which is a brand new stablecoin launched by the Synapse protocol, which is actually one of my favorite bridges. So they use their liquidity to back it, and they've created their own stablecoin, and it's paying out 15%. And I like this because it is paying out 8% in SYN. And so I'm a fan of SYN, right? I wouldn't mind actually holding this token and farming it to accumulate to speculate on the project. I actually parked my stablecoins though on Solaris in this pool here, USDC, USDT, USN. I'm a big fan of what the Near team is doing with USN. It's a stablecoin. It was over collateralized by Near, and it was going to be double collateralized by USDT. They've since kind of switched the model for V2, and now it is one-to-one back with USDT, which is really cool. It's actually governed by a DAO known as a decentral bank, which you can read way more about it here in depth. However, I'm not too particularly bullish on either the TRI or Aurora token, so since it's about 12% APR, I come in here just about once a week, right? Gas is really low. I go ahead and just compound my position and increase my stablecoin stack. Next, we have Polaris Finance. Again, over on the Aurora ecosystem, this one is a bit of a riskier play, a bit more degen, but I do like what this team is doing. So this is the Tomb fork. If you aren't familiar with Tomb fork, I have a whole video on it, check it out. But basically what they have here is they have these different assets on different blockchains tracking the price of the biggest one. So for example, they have a synthetic that tracks Bitcoin, one that tracks USDC, one that tracks the token TRI, and then they also have, I believe, Near. So, and you can see here, most of these are actually either on peg or pretty close to the peg, and they pay out some pretty insane APYs. If we come down here to the Dawn section, which essentially is the farms, and we come down here to the USP, remember, this is a synthetic that tracks the price of USDC, or aims to, and it does this through an arbitrage mechanism. But if this is a 0% loss and permanent pool, if this stays true, which is paying out 142% APR. This is a bit of a degen play, so remember, keep that in mind, a little bit higher risk, but because it's 142% APR, you can use significantly less capital to equal what it would require on some of these other platforms. So you are pretty much paid out, and basically this T-share style token, it looks like it's called the Sunrise tokens over here on this platform, and you can go ahead and stake it, and again, and earn even more. So if you take those rewards from your farm, you can then stake it and earn 1200% again on top of that. So it's pretty nuts. I've actually been quite surprised with how this team's been performing. I'm personally not in this platform, but it's something I'm looking at allocating a small bit of capital to. If we come over here and we scroll down, we check out something like the USP chart. What we can actually do is we can switch the price to USDC to see how well it's been keeping on peg. And you can see like pretty much it launched back in early or late June, right? It dropped, but I mean, overall been pretty steady. Now remember, this is synthetic that uses an arbitrage mechanism to track the price, but I mean, it's doing pretty good. The fact that it's only off peg by 2 cents, I mean, and you're earning 0.5% daily, like that makes up for that pretty quickly. And so again, I think this is really interesting. I think it's more of a degen play, but you know, I'm a degen at heart, so you might see me deploy some capital here shortly. Next, we're gonna be looking at Ref Finance. So Ref Finance is pretty much the #1 DEX right now on the Near ecosystem. And what we have here is USN and USDT. Remember, USN 1-to-1 back with USDT, so no impermanent loss here, anything like that. 15% APR. I like this pool a little bit better because it actually pays out in USN. So it pays out in the stablecoin, so you don't have to really bother with compounding anything like that. Honestly, I've just been a bit too lazy to set up my Near wallet. Although I've done it, I've bridged some funds over, right? I've staked some funds. I much just prefer to be on something EVM compatible right now, so I've stuck to Aurora, but this is looking pretty good. All right, next we're going to be talking about Stargate. So Stargate's actually a really interesting project. It's a layer 0 project, and I really love this right here. Welcome to the Omni-chain future, and I think that holds true, right? This project has almost $500 million in total value locked. The reason why I love this layer 0 project is because it's trying to solve a big problem, which is with bridges, right? We just saw Harmony bridge hack for $100 million. A couple months ago, maybe whatever, 6-8 months ago, we saw the Wormhole bridge hack for $300 million. So the problem with bridges is that when you want to bridge to a new ecosystem, what you do is you essentially deposit funds into the bridge, it locks them up, right? It becomes a custodial of those assets, and then they spit out a synthetic on the other side. And so what happens is if those bridges are hacked, then the synthetic on the other side is not redeemable by anything. It's not backed by anything. And so it's essentially worthless outside the ecosystem. And so Stargate, what we have here is you can scroll down. We can see here, we can swap 1-to-1 native assets cross-chain. And what this is going to be really important because 1, we get rid of the problem with these bridges, right, being custodials. And then 2, by being native assets, right, we can deepen liquidity on all these different ecosystems because there's not all these different variations of all these different stable coins. Stargate, given that it's an omni-chain project, is available basically on every single chain, right? The Binance Network, Optimism, Polygon, Ethereum, Avalanche, right? And you can pretty much deposit anything that you want. They have support different stablecoins as well as Ethereum. So you can see here over on BNB, deposit USDT 8.8%, right? Over on Optimism 7.7%. We have here Avalanche 6.4%, right? And so you are paid out with the Stargate token, but I'm actually quite bullish on this token. And so I actually want to accumulate this. So in my opinion, these APYs are worthless. They don't mean anything, because if I'm betting that the Stargate token will double in value or 3x in value or 4x in value, then technically my APYs are also 2, 3, 4x in value as well. I'm not the only person bullish on Stargate. Here we have Sam, CEO and quant trader of Alameda Research, right? If you don't know Alameda, look them up, one of the world's best. But here we have Sam admitting that there's been some chatter about the recent Stargate auction, and they wanted to clarify a few things about Alameda's involvement. And here we have it that they did and buy all of the tokens from the auction. So we can expect Alameda here to support the price long term, as they've mentioned that they have no plans on dumping it for at least 3 years. So that's great to see. Pretty much wraps it up, and we went through so many different projects where you can earn anywhere between 5-6% APR all the way up to 140%. Now, I will say this, of all the projects I mentioned, I feel they're all pretty low risk. I trust the teams, I trust the audits, right? Everything from Sturdy to Velodrome, try Solaris, Rep Finance, Stargate. The only one I'm a bit hesitant on is Polaris Finance, and it's not because I don't trust the audit, it's because it's a tomb fork and it has a very unique mechanism to keep that peg. So just something to keep in mind, but that's why you get the higher APR, because you do take on more risk. If you have any questions about getting started, if you want to dive deeper and have some conversations around these projects, go ahead, follow me on Twitter, tweet at me, come join the Discord. The link's in the description. It's free. I would love to chat with you about these different projects and different stablecoin strategies. But see you in the next one. Cheers and happy farming.